What's up, everyone? Standing out here next to Red, nickname for our 240 here, our beautiful 1990 S13. Progress has been a bit slow on the car. Updates haven't been coming, obviously. Been working on other bits, kind of things off the car, like the engine's been taking up a lot of our time. So I figured I'd kind of tell you what's going on with Red. We bought Red from a not very trustworthy individual in a not so nice neighborhood, and I guess that showed, because when we bought it, it was bill of sale only. The guy bought it from a police impound that didn't have a title, which is fine. You can go to the DMV, apply for a replacement title. So we bought the car, bill of sale only, and drove it home. We went to the DMV to put Red under our names and apply for a replacement title, and that's when it was dropped on us that Red has not been registered since 2007. So it was never put in non-op status, so it had been accruing registration fees and late fees since 2007. Basically what that means is the DMV was requesting fees that almost cost as much as the whole purchase price of the car. The fees were close to $700. We went back to we've been to the DMV 3 times now. The lowest they would do was knock $100 out the fees to $600. And they basically told us it was our known negligence. We should have known better than to buy the car. So we were faced with a tough choice, because even still, $600 worth of fees, we didn't pay too much more than that for the whole car when it had an engine and transmission and when it was running. So we considered our options, and we decided it was best to get rid of Red. So this is going to be the end of the road for this car. It's a damn shame, because as people have been messaging me and asking me questions about, it does have mostly original red panels, the original red paint, obviously barring the hood, the roof, and the hatch that are painted black. That's kind of been a big bump in the progress of the car. Obviously it's been a big speed bump for us. So we've been going over our different options. We tried listing it on Craigslist and all the Facebook 240 pages as a rolling shell. Is it, if you know, it's bill of sale only, you can either pay the fees and make it into a road car, or take it as is and build it into what would be a great race car, considering the chassis is straight. It's kind of ready to go. Good body panels would make a good, beautiful race car if you have the means. No one wanted it. We got offers for $100 as is, which that's no go. We have found some tow yards, or scrap yards, junk yards, however you want to call it, that will take the car as is, even though it doesn't have an updated registration, beyond the fact that the DMV knows the car is in our name and that we own it, but the registration is currently marked as incomplete due to the fees owed. So we bill of sale only, no title. We found a few junkyards that will take the car, but the offers we've been getting are pretty rough. So we are gonna do a full part on Red. Everything's coming off. Bumpers, fenders, doors, glass, lights. It's gonna be as much of a rolling shell as possible. We're gonna sell off all the parts to try and recoup as much of our losses as we can. And then we had an offer for the rolling shell just as pure, for a scrap metal value of $100, and that's kind of the direction we're gonna go in with the car. You know, we made a lot of progress. We were rebuilding a dual cam engine. We had a complete 5-speed swap, coilovers, all these parts, and we were a bit vested in the 240 life. As dirty as it is, we kind of liked it. So saying goodbye to Red was a bit of a bummer, but we don't feel so bad, because goodbye Red, hello Rattlecan. This is our second 240, our new to us 240. It's also a 90. It's also a hatch. It looks a bit rough around the outside. It's been a drift car. It's been banged around. Damaged fender, So the whole car is obviously rattle can, hence the name, dents all over it. But crucially, rattle can has a few things that red does not. Rattle can has a 5-speed. We don't have to swap it. Let's pop the hood. Rattle can also has a dual cam motor already swapped in with a shitty intake and a shitty header. When we found rattle can, it wouldn't start. Julian went to, and I quote, the hood. He said it was a project, it was a really rough part of LA, and it was a young kid selling the car. He said he couldn't figure out why it wouldn't start. He said his cousin, who was a mechanic, tried to replace the starter, and ever since then it wouldn't go. We have free tows with AAA. We negotiated a very fair price for a dual cam manual swapped S13. We had it towed home. The car had been sitting for 2 years and had not started. And now, clutch in, key in the ignition, put the car in neutral. We have a poorly running, dual cam 5-speed swapped S13 for super cheap. Don't worry, that rattle isn't rod knock. The exhaust is broken off the hangers from a bit of rust on the hangers, which is good because we have a replacement eBay exhaust right there to go back on with hangers. So we're gonna fix that. Swap as much of the good stuff from red over to this car as possible, and then keep going with our budget 240 build. Because rattle can is the same basic idea that red was, you know, as a cheap S13 with a dual cam and a 5-speed swap. Basically, once we sell all the parts off of red and get rid of red, we're kind of that much further along with the project. It's still super budget. Let me shut off that terrible exhaust. That exhaust rattle is ungodly. So we're gonna keep going. At this point, we're almost done rebuilding the dual cam in the garage. Since this car is already a 5-speed, we now have a spare 5-speed transmission with a brand new clutch. So we're gonna start selling off all the extras that we originally bought for red, since it was a single cam auto car, and then we tended to swap to a manual. We now have a bunch of spares that we can try and sell and get all our money back and kind of get back to where we need to be. So actually pretty exciting. This all came together really fast. Rattle can may look like a total piece, and it is a total piece, but it actually drives quite nicely for an old car. Unlike red, the tires aren't corded and beyond use. The transmission clearly needs some shifter bushings. All the gears engaged, no grinds, reverse works, everything. Engine pulls pretty hard. We banged off the limiter at 7,000 RPM doing some pulls and some skids. It was pretty fun. May have done a huge burnout in front of a police station unintentionally. But rattle can, for all intents and purposes, is a running, driving S13 240 that we can go drifting with and go to the track with. So while red has title and registration complications, rattle can is actually pretty much good to go. We took all the paperwork to the DMV and they said it's good to go. We just need to pass California smog, which we'll take care of in the usual dirty old 240 fashion. And then it's a fully registerable road car.